Okay, so I think we should start today's session. In the meantime, student can join. So, hi everyone, good evening, students. We have our team NASCOM Foundation's team and our speaker today, Mr. Santosh Kshirsagar. So, from the NASCOM Foundation, I myself, Sarika Singh, Shreya, and Tapavardhan. We're from NASCOM Foundation, and about our speaker, Mr. Santosh Kshirsagar. First of all, I would like to welcome Mr. Kshirsagar. He's the founder of the Ergo Taker, and he has over 15 years of experience in software development and solution architecture. And he led teams like skilled in PHP, Laravel, JavaScript, Python, React, on .NET. He's currently working on innovative platforms in trending technologies and building solutions. And what stands out most in his passion for making technology easy and to understand is helping others to use it in practical ways. And what are the key points we are going to cover in this today's session? Introduction of cloud computing, benefits, application of cloud in real world, type of cloud services, cloud adoption challenges, and practices. More Santosh can help you out because I'm not much aware of all of these. So, and also if you feel like to add anything else in your introduction, please, you're most welcome. Over to you, Santosh.
Thank you, Sarika. So thank you for the introduction. I think you have covered everything what I have done. So I have worked for from last 15 years for some service company, product company, and recently from last 2 years I'm working on my own startups.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So and coming back to our today's topic, so this is an introduction to cloud computing.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in this workshop, we are going to cover the basic things. What is cloud computing? What are the different types of models? What are the core services related to cloud computing? And what other companies are using, how they are using, what are the benefits, and basic things we'll cover. And basically, we'll have some hands-on demo, putting a very basic web page or website on a particular cloud server. So that we will have in this particular session. Okay. So
You should start your session, please.
yeah. So may I know means how many of you are already using cloud server or cloud computing means for their means this projects for think better projects and all these things. So you can basically type we are using yes. So I can see one hand. Look. Okay, and I think most of the people are from tech background. They know coding and all these things.
Correct, correct.
How
Yes,
many of
yes.
you know coding and tech and all these things, or not from non-tech background? Okay, so okay, so accordingly, I will start and I will explain you how this cloud computing from basics to little bit advanced, not that much advanced. It will be mostly the introduction and basic things. Okay, I will share my screen. One sec. Let me know if you can see my screen. So
Yes,
that I will
it is
start.
visible.
Okay, it's visible, no? Right, okay. So, so first, let's understand what exactly is cloud computing. Okay, cloud computing is basically nothing but it refers to delivering the IT resources or computing services. So these services like servers, storage, database, networking, software, and this all basically happens over the internet. So basically, this is called cloud computing. Okay, so to understand it in a basic language, first let's understand how this internet or how website and all these things works. Okay, so basically if you go any particular browser, Chrome or Firefox, you type a website name into your URL, and basically you can see that particular website. So similarly it happens, means basically if you use some app, desktop app or web, means a mobile app, still there will be from backend it call a particular website URL. Okay, and in that case that will be the API. So basically in API the response will be JSON. So basically it's a structured data. So that structured data can be shown on your mobile device or something like that. So basically most of the things works over the internet using this domain names. So domain names is particular .com, .in, and these are the all the domain names where websites or API are hosted. Okay, so to have a basic idea, so basically whenever you type a domain name or from a mobile app, a particular domain name get called. So basically this request from your device will go to a DNS resolver. So basically DNS resolver will check if I know this particular website belongs to which IP address. If means this is not cached, he doesn't know, then this request will go to a root server. Root server is basically at the top level. It has the directories of all the domain names and all these things. So basically for this particular example.com, DNS resolver will request this DNS query to root server. Then root servers might means basically will tell that particular DNS resolver. Sorry, is there any question? Are you asking something?
नहीं, घर वाले हैं नहीं, उनको संडे सुबह करनी कहीं और जाना है, इसलिए
Tapavardhan, are you saying something?
लोग की सब नोएडा ही हैं, मतलब उन लोग के आसपास
I think they have to mute or something by default. By mistake they have unmute.
Yes.
बट हाँ मैंने पीडी को आया गाइडेंस मतलब बैग्स वगैरह खा ले लाइक देयर आर कपल ऑफ प्रोग्रामिंग आइटम्स तो वहाँ पे
Can we unmute? Means can
बाकी
we mute?
पाँच के बात करते हैं, पाँच के बात करते हैं आपसे सो बता लो चार मिनट में तुम
Sarika, I will need your help.
जाने पर तो मैं 2-3% हो गई
Trying to, yeah, I'm trying.
एक हमारा आता तो गलत है आज नहीं जाता खाली ये भी पता नहीं किसी को बोल दे जाएगी ये भाई भाई फोन आ रहा उठा ले
For me, there is no option to unmute. Thank you, Sarika. Okay. So I think I was explaining these things, how particular website works, web URL works. So basically when example dot goes to DNS resolver, it check if it has that particular address, it knows that particular which IP address this particular website belongs to, something like that. And then basically it will go to root server where it has the directory of this TLD servers and all this thing. So it knows where to send this particular query. So this root server will tell this DNS resolver in this case to go to .com TLD server. Okay, and in .in or .co.in .net, so different TLD server will be called. Then DNS resolver will call this DNS query with this name example.com. Then this TLD server basically knows where exactly this example.com related IP address and all this thing is stored. TLD server also don't know means exactly which IP address, but it knows where they have stored this information. So it will goes to that particular DNS server host where they have these records. Okay, means this example.com for www to where go, for this subdomain where to go, or for MX record, A record. There are different type of record. We are not going into deep into that. But basically from that DNS resolver will make query to that particular domain host server, and then from there it will get that IP address, and once it has IP address it will be sent back to this particular client device, and then directly this once it knows that particular IP address belongs to which server, it will call that particular server, and from that server, when this request is received, response will be sent. Response will be HTML in case of a website, and if that's API, then JSON or XML, that will be response. So in short, basically to host a website, we need server. Okay. So in traditional way, basically most means companies and all were having their own servers in their own premises. So basically they have that hardware, means proper server on their premises. So as you can see, we can see a single server basically easy to manage, not that difficult. But when you have a most amount of traffic, means most amount maximum traffic, more load on your server, then basically a single server cannot handle that. You will need multiple servers, and basically there is concept of load balancer. Basically we have to route this traffic to multiple servers. Then if we have multiple server, we need a centralized database, we need centralized session caching and all these things. So basically as it grows, it increase the complexity. So basically we need these servers, we also need someone to manage these servers. On server we have to host, means basically install operating system softwares, and then basically we have to maintain. If there is any update into software, we have to update the softwares and all these things. And in networking, basically we'll need stable internet connection. If there is some issue, then we'll need some fallback, we have to take the backups and all these things. So there are so many things involved if we have on premises. But using cloud computing, so basically this changes. So basically we don't have to worry all about these things. These things will be managed by cloud servers. So basically for cloud server, basically how it's different. So let's go to next slide. So one by one I will explain how this works and how this will impact this real scenario. Okay. So basically if you are a new company, basically most of you have your own basically starting your startups, starting your projects. You haven't means if you haven't uh, hosted your website or API on any server, so basically now you have option, you can have your own server, and then basically own internet connection, own infrastructure, or other thing like you can just go to any cloud service provider like AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure. Okay. And there you just have to create your own account, and you just have to create a button, means click a button, and you have to mention what kind of server you want and all these things. So on demand, you can create your own server. So basically server will be created in less than a minute. So basically it's it changes drastically. So basically if you want to have your own premises, you have to buy that particular servers, you have to pay upfront cost for that particular server. But in this case, if you go for cloud computing, you will save your time. You don't need too much time to set up your server and all these things. Most of the things can be set up in seconds, minutes. Okay. And basically it will reduce your time, it will also reduce your cost. So basically on demand you will create your servers. So basically once you created server, you can use it for a day, 2 day, or 1 month. And if you don't want to use that particular server, you can stop that particular server, and whatever time you have used that particular servers, for that only you will have that particular bill. So basically it's like not having on premises server, but this resources can be rented from this cloud computing services, basically host cloud computing providers. So on demand you can create your own server, on demand you can create your own database, on demand you can create this caching and storage, or all these things. Okay. And as we told, if we have a one server, and if there is too much load coming to your website, then you will need more servers. So basically if you want to do it on premises, you will have to add multiple servers, or you will have to increase the capacity. So basically this comes to scalability. Okay. In scalability, there are two types. One is vertical scaling and one is horizontal scaling. Vertical scaling means you just increase the capacity of particular server. Like if there is too much load, so you can increase the RAM of that particular server. So this is called vertical scaling. And horizontal scaling means you can increase the number of servers to manage incoming load. So basically, likewise, that can happen. Okay, and this services on basically using the cloud computing, it is same thing. Like on demand we create one server, on demand we can create multiple servers too. Okay, and we can increase or decrease the capacity of that particular server likewise. And this means, as I said, on demand you can go to a particular cloud hosting provider account and just click and create server. This is also can be automated using, basically they have their own APIs and all these things. So you can basically code this thing, you can basically automate these things. So whenever the traffic comes, you can scale and scale down. So basically this comes to elasticity. By elasticity means if you have two servers, when load comes to your particular website or API, then basically by elasticity you can increase the servers automatically. And when that load goes down, that traffic goes down, so basically that servers can be lowered to its capacity. So basically in traditional way, if you have multiple servers, so in peak time you will use all the server. But rather than peak time, you will not use all the servers and all the capacity will be wasted. So basically in cloud also you should add these features, basically auto scaling and all this thing. So this should be in your, so basically you will pay means on peak times you will use all the servers, and if off peak times you will use less servers. So how much resources you, on basis of that your bill will be generated, so you can save some money on that also. And then basically this cloud service will be like pay as you go. You don't have to pay upfront. So basically if you want to set up your own infrastructure, you will need to buy all the servers, networking and all these things. You will have to hire someone who understand all these things, managing and maintaining likewise. But in cloud hosting you just pay as you use that particular services, so you can save too much upfront cost. You can basically use that particular uh, budget to some other services for to grow your business likewise. So likewise these things are means they are key characteristics also means if you go for a cloud computing, you have benefit of uh, basically it's a global infrastructure. Like AWS has their servers all over the world. So basically sitting in India, you can set up server on US or some other countries also. If you have website which belongs to that particular region, you can basically target to that. You can create your servers onto that area, so basically latency will be reduced. So basically this happens means if user using your service, so if he is nearby to that particular server, the latency will be decreased, the speed will be decreased. Whenever he requests response, he will get the response as soon as possible likewise. So these are the key characteristics of using this cloud services. In meantime, if you have some doubts, whatever I'm explaining or something, you can just talk and you can just let me know. Okay, let's move to the next part. So basically, we understand the basic cloud service, what are the cloud services and all these things. So let's consider different models related to this cloud services. Okay, so basically, we have three types of models. One is infrastructure as a service. So basically, consider it as a actual hardware you are putting on premises that can be used, that can be rented out from this cloud services. Okay, and that will be instantly and all these things. So likewise Amazon EC2. So by Amazon EC2, it's basically a similar to your computer, what you have in your. So basically, Amazon EC2 basically it's a service where you can create your own server, whatever the RAM size you need, whatever the cores you need, and all these things, whatever the size you need for that particular storage. So similarly, in Google you have Google Compute Engine, and there is a third like Azure, Microsoft Azure. They have like virtual machine. So names are different, but basically the services are like this. Okay, so then we have platform as a service. By platform as a service means you don't care about this actual server size, their particular RAM size, or basically storage space, and all these things. That will be managed by this service provider only. You mostly focus on coding your website, creating your software, and this other things will be managed by that particular service provider. So basically, for example, there are this Heroku, Google App Engine. Also in AWS, we have Elastic Beanstalk. Basically, when you upload your code, that code will be automatically deployed to different servers. Then it will add auto scaling group. So it will have that elasticity depending on traffic. Your servers will be increase or decrease likewise. And there is this third type, which is a software as a service. So basically in which everything is managed by that particular cloud service provider, even the code and all this thing. We are just basically user, like a Gmail, Salesforce, Dropbox. So basically we are just user. We basically pay monthly subscription or something like that, and or we go some services might be like pay as you go or something like that. They are basically come into SaaS. So to understand this, let's compare with a restaurant, basically a restaurant kitchen. Okay, so in kitchen you have all the basically that space and all the equipment. So basically this is as a infrastructure as a service. And if that particular kitchen, restaurant kitchen, have everything like ingredients and all these things, menu and everything, you just go there, cook your dishes and all these things. Likewise, then it will be as a platform as a service. So you don't care about the this what are the equipment and all these things there. And in SaaS, basically you don't go into that. You just basically a user of that particular restaurant. You just go there, order something, and basically eat it. Likewise, so in IaaS, infrastructure as a service, if you use this, you will have a full control. So basically you create a server. In that server you install your operating system, you install your database, you install your software. Then basically you will manage that particular, if there is any update or something, you will do that updates and all these things. So you have full control if you go for infrastructure as a service. And if you go for platform as a service, you don't have to care about this software, operating system, and updates of that particular software. That will be managed by cloud service provider. You mainly focus on coding your software, and in SaaS basically you just use that particular software. So likewise basically. And one more thing, I just forgot actually. Okay, so let's move next. If I remember that, I will explain that particular. It's not that much. Basically, it's related to something. This means control and all these things. So basically, we already know key in IaaS you have full control. In PaaS you have medium control. In SaaS you don't have control on software and all these things. Let's move to the next things. Means what are the major cloud service providers we have? Okay. So we have Amazon Web Services, AWS. This is created by Amazon. So basically they have 200 plus services, and it has largest ecosystem. So basically it has, I think, 32% of market share is used, means is on Amazon Web Services. If you choose Amazon Web Services, it has a large community. There are so many things available on internet. And from job perspective also, you will get so many opportunities in this particular. Okay. And there is another cloud service provider, which is Azure, Microsoft Azure, which is provided by Microsoft. So this particular Microsoft Azure is based for Windows apps, and basically related to like MS SQL database or .NET softwares and all these things. So that is more suitable to put that on Microsoft Azure. So similarly, we have the third provider, which is Google Cloud. Okay, so Google also provide this cloud computing services. And Google basically, okay, so Microsoft as means like AWS has 32% of market share, and Microsoft Azure has 23% market share. And similarly, Google Cloud has, I think, 10 or 11% of market share. So these are the major three players in cloud service providers. Okay, there are different service providers also, like IBM Cloud, Oracle Cloud, Alibaba Cloud. There is also DigitalOcean, which is not that much, but it's developer friendly, and it has simple pricing. So basically, for my own software websites and all these things, I use DigitalOcean because it has fixed pricing. It don't have that much pricing and all these things. Means it has lesser cost than Amazon, AWS, or any other cloud service provider. But it has some limited services, like they don't have uh, all the services and all these things like Amazon, AWS have likewise. Okay. So every cloud has their own means uh, different means specialization. Like AWS has largest ecosystem, then basically it has so many services. So if you need something, anything, that can be added. And Microsoft Azure is majorly focused on this Windows related or Microsoft related apps. And Google Cloud you can use mostly for artificial intelligence and machine learning, big data, Kubernetes, and all these things. So I think in Google Cloud we have Vertex AI. So using that, you can basically have this machine learning models and all these things. Okay. Now let's move to the next slide. Okay. If you have any question, you can ask in between. No problem. Okay. Now let's move to the cloud deployment models. Okay. So, so there are this deployment models are public clouds. There are some private clouds, hybrid cloud, or multi-cloud. So basically, by public cloud means these are available over the internet for all the users. So basically, it has shared infrastructures. So like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, whatever the cloud service provider we have discussed, they are all public cloud service providers. Okay. So using that, you can basically create your own servers instantly. So on-demand service it has. So for the benefit of this public cloud provider are like uh, you can access it from anywhere, your mobile device, your desktop, or tablet or anything. And basically, once you create your servers and all these things, you can manage it instantly, and you don't have to pay upfront cost. So for small startups, small businesses, it is very good. Also, it is good for big companies also, because there are so many companies using it, but they have to use it proper way. They have to manage it properly. They have to architect their means infrastructure. That way, they should use it cost effective, basically. So basically, this is a public cloud which can be accessed by anyone from anywhere. Okay. And then there is this private cloud. So by means private cloud, basically this private cloud, basically it will have the similar features and all these things, but this will be created by a specific organization for their use only. It will not be available for all the users are some other company, but it will be used by that particular company. So basically, this will be used when you have specific compliances issue, you have sensitive data and all these things. So like banks or health organization or government, they use this private infrastructure. So basically they have their own servers and all these things all over the regions wherever they need it. Suppose they need it in all over India, so all over India they will have their servers, regions, their uh, uh, servers, regions, and basically network. So basically they have their own private network. So using that, they will have the similar structure of cloud computing for their own use. Okay. And there comes a hybrid solution. So basically in a hybrid solution, you can use both. Uh, means we have public clouds like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, and they also have their private infrastructure. So basically they have their own private cloud. So basically the sensitive data or sensitive functionality, they keep it on their servers only. And whatever it's not that much sensitive, but they can put on public infrastructure and public cloud. They will put that services like for means they for development test purpose and all these things they can use this cloud services. But for data and all these things they can use their private cloud to host that particular data likewise. Okay. And then there comes a multi-cloud. So by multi-cloud means uh, a single company or startup or major basically any organization using multiple cloud, like they are using AWS and Google simultaneously, or AWS or some small hosting means small cloud service provider like DigitalOcean simultaneously. Even if they can basically use a 3 or 4 cloud service provider, or they can have add their own infrastructure also, own on premises servers also likewise basically. So basically they can control on the cost and everything basically likewise. But having this multi cloud, it will not be that easy. So basically they will have to have a proper architecture, they will have to handle this uh, downtime and all these things, they will have to handle the latency and all these things. Means for example, if we have a database in a particular cloud, and if we are using other cloud for having application, so this will not be that feasible. So basically whenever user request for that particular application will go for other cloud to get that particular data, and it will add the latency. Also it will add that bandwidth. Means basically every cloud service provider have some basically they allot some bandwidth basically on usage of that particular bandwidth, how much data get inside your cloud basically server and get outside your server. So basically on basis of that also it has billing, so that will also increase, and latency will also increase. But when this multi-cloud basically will be helpful, if suppose any cloud service provider goes down or some issue happen there, then as a backup there other cloud service provider can come as a backup or something like that. If you know, means recently 1 or 2 week ago there was a problem with AWS. So AWS. So basically, what happened in US East one with some update, there was some issue with DNS resolution. So their DynamoDB for that particular region goes down, and once a service goes down, basically other services also related to that services will go down. So most of the companies using this that particular region were having that outage. So there was some difficulty using that. So this can happen. So basically you will have to create an infrastructure. So basically you will have to have that basically disaster recovery and all these things. So likewise, let's move to the next slide. So we'll discuss some basic core cloud services. Okay. So first is basically compute, okay, virtual machines. So it's like your computer. So basically you create a server on this particular cloud service, okay. For AWS, we have Amazon EC2 for creating a server. For Google, we have this. For Azure, it has virtual machine, and Google, I think it has compute engine. So names are different on every clouds, but basically it has that particular service. Then there is a service for storage. So basically you can buy the storage. In this storage, basically you save the images related to your website or application. You save videos, or you save some files related to your particular website. Even though you can store the backups of your database into this storage, or basically you can store your application code and all these things using that code that will be deployed to your server likewise. Okay, and then there is service of databases. So in databases, we have relational database, we have non-relational database. So in relational database, MySQL, PostgreSQL, then NoSQL, we have MongoDB. So in AWS, for example, in AWS, we have a relational database like MySQL or PostgreSQL, we can create that. Also, they have created their own service Aurora. So basically in Aurora, they have basically compatible with PostgreSQL, compatible with MySQL. They have created their own this service. We can say a software. Basically using that, you can reduce the latency, but the cost of that particular service will be higher than normal RDS, but it will have reduced latencies. So similarly, we have a NoS for NoSQL database. There is a DynamoDB we have. So likewise services. So basically this cloud services provider can give these services. So basically if you have multiple servers, like you have lots of requests and you have multiple servers, you can put this database centrally, and all these servers can use this database to get the data and basically send it to user likewise. And then there is this networking we have. So basically CDN. So basically CDNs means content delivery network. So what is the use of this content delivery network? So basically if you have website and you have multiple images on your website, okay, so these images can be stored in different age locations. So suppose we have users from different countries, from India, from US, or something like that. When a request come from India, basically, then the nearest CDN server will serve that particular request. So basically image will come from that server. If that request is from US, then near to that US, near to that region, that particular server will give that image. So basically in content, so CDNs, what happens, whatever the images you have, that will be cached to different servers, and whenever user requests, so to nearby that particular user request, that server will respond. So basically latency will be decreased. So basically user will have faster response. So that will be good for user. So basically will website will not have longer load time and all these things. And then there's basically most of the cloud service providers also provide serverless computing. By serverless computing, as I said, there is this PaaS. Basically you focus on creating codes, creating your software, hardware, and all these things will be managed by particular cloud service. So basically this comes under serverless computing. Also in serverless computing, there are basically you can write a smaller functions. Okay, so basically for example whenever user uploads an image to your particular server, we can create an event. Okay, whenever that image is uploaded to a particular storage server, on that basis of event, I want to call a function. That function will resize that image, or basically convert it to thumbnails and all these things. That can happen basically. So basically this comes handy when you have this function, you have particular events, and that time only you want to use this. So basically then in same case, basically you will be billed for that much whenever that particular function runs. For that much time you will be billed. So basically you might save cost in some scenarios. So also other example is you have a video streaming website. So whenever you upload a video, different type of mp4 or different kinds of videos, okay, so then that videos can be processed when that particular video get uploaded. So basically it will be converted into streaming forward, streaming format, HLS and all these things. So whenever user visit your website, that format will be served to user likewise. Okay, and there are other services also. These are very basic cloud core cloud services. So other services like we have Redis cache and all these things, and then basically we have application load balancer, we have then basically uh, what we can say related to uh, means repository services, then basically CI/CD pipeline. So basically uh, what we can say, if you have heard of this DevOps and all these things, where development happen, and automatically that goes to a repository, that code will be saved, and automatically this will be deployed to a particular cloud server. So they are also comes into this servers and all these things. Okay, likewise we have mentioned serverless computing in AWS. For this we have Lambda functions, and in Google I think we have cloud functions, and Azure also we have cloud functions. So basically they are names. So if you go and search, there are so many services available. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, now we have understood all the basic concept. Now let's see some real world example, means which companies are using. So major example is Netflix. So in 2008, basically Netflix has its own data centers. So they have their own infrastructure and all these things. The problem with them that when there are so many requests or something like that, then server crashed. So basically this is not a basically good service for users, and from business point of view also they lost some business and all these things. So then in 2016 they moved entirely to AWS, and now basically they serve so many users, 200 plus million users globally, and that is managed automatically. It scales up, scale down, and everything is managed using this particular AWS. And then there are some other companies also like Airbnb. They have started with a small $20 per month cloud hosting. And now basically once they have more load, more users, and then basically they have scaled to multiple services. And similarly, it's not like they means companies should use this for a long time. Sometimes some company might use this as a starting point, like Dropbox uh, started with AWS, so they don't have to pay upfront costs and all these things. And then basically once they have everything working on this, and then basically they have gone for their own infrastructure. So they, after months everything is working fine, they created their own infrastructure. From that perspective also, at the start they have used, and after basically they have once spent for their infrastructure, and then basically they are using that. Then there are some other examples. So Snapchat basically spent 400 million on Google Cloud to basically support their 190 million daily users. So basically, having that much users handling on their own, that will be a difficult thing to do. So likewise, okay. Let's move to the next slide. Okay. Now we we got these things key. We can basically use cloud computing services and all these things from what we are doing here, means what we have our softwares and all these things. Okay, so if we want to use, we will be more focused on optimizing the cost. Okay, already basically if you move from infrastructure to cloud, we don't have to pay upfront. There is also cost optimized, but still there are multiple ways. Means if you are starting out, you should use some free tier. So basically AWS, I think, provide for 12 months free tier services. Means some services are there, some limited services with some means a limited capacity servers, some limited capacity database and all these things. They provide some free tier services. So that can be used for a 12-month or something. So basically it will save more cost. Okay. And similarly, Google also provide, I think, some credits they provide. So that can be used. Azure, I think, also provide 12-month free for using their services. So similarly, and this cloud service provider also have this credit facility. So basically if you are a startup, you might apply for credits, and that credit will be given to your particular cloud account. So for example, if you apply in AWS for a startup, basically they might give $120 or some credits. So basically you will have that credit whenever you use their different services, and on a monthly bill, that bill means that money will be deducted from this credits. Credits will have their expiries and all these things, but still using this credit will help to reduce the cost at start. Okay, and then after that, basically when it comes to have, means basically spend your own money or something, you have to basically use different types of instances. By instances means it's majorly I'm telling about AWS. In AWS we have EC2 instances. Basically on demand we can create your EC2 instance. Basically we can create your own servers. So whenever that particular server is created, you will have that billing hourly basis. Okay, so on demand, basically you use that, and then basically whenever you shut down, basically when we terminate that server, basically you will not have that bill. But if you want basically a server for 12 months or 2 years or 3 years, then you can go for reserve instances. So basically if you reserve some instances on Google Cloud, means basically in AWS, so you might save 60% of your price. So basically on demand have higher hourly billing. If you use reserve instances, that hourly billing will come to 60% less. Okay, and similarly, like there are some other instances like spot instances. Spot instances are like extra instances they are not using. So basically that can be used in AWS. Specifically spot instances are like basically that will be useful when we have this auto scaling. By auto scaling means uh, in AWS we have auto scaling group. We can specify your rules and all these things. So for example, we take a basic example. We have minimum 2 servers. Okay, and basically whenever there is a, CPU optimization greater than 60%. Okay, then I have to auto scale. Basically I can go, and then basically I can also mention up to how much instances I can go. So basically if you are mentioned the minimum capacity is to 2 servers and maximum capacity to 8 or 10 servers, then basically whenever your CPU CPU load increase to 60%, then one more server will be added. So basically it will balance out. In auto scaling, basically it will have the load balancer. Load balancer means load balancer basically route the traffic whenever a particular user request particular URL. So basically load balancer will pass that request to one server. When a different user comes to same means similar request, similar website, then that request will be passed to second server, and then third request will be passed to third server. So basically this is a like a round robin. Basically whenever requests come, it will be passed to some different server. There are different approaches also in this basically load balancing. So basically sticky option. So basically if a user comes, that user will be pointed to a particular server. So that user, whenever request comes from that user, that user will be that user will go to a particular server one. So for every request, and if new user comes in, it will go to server 2. So basically this load balancer will manage this traffic and all these things, and it will be balanced between all the servers. So in auto scaling, in this scenario, we can use that spot instances. Spot instances basically that will be created, okay, and that can basically removed from anytime. So basically that spot instances should not be used for critical functions. So basically if you have scalable system or something that doesn't depend on a particular server, uh, so that can be used. So in APIs all these things, if you have REST API, so basically user makes a request, it goes to server. From that server will connect to your database, or basically caching or session or some your storage, and then basically it respond back. If that servers goes down, still it's okay, because if next requests come, it will go to some other servers and other server will manage. In that cases, basically you will use this spot instance. So basically spot instances have lower prices than reserve instances. So basically you might save 70 to 75% money basically in compared to this uh, EC2 instance. Likewise, then basically there is this serverless, as I earlier told. You can create your functions, and on basis of event, like when is image uploaded to that particular server, or video uploaded to that particular server, how to run this function. So likewise, you can write the function, and whenever it needed, that functions will be created and you will build for that much only. So likewise, also when it comes to cost optimization, you will have to monitor and have some alert in your this alert system in your cloud services. So basically if bill is going too much or something, you can identify anomalies and all these things. Then you can basically effectively take action on all these things. So basically other than this, my tips is like whenever you create a server, okay, if that server is not useful, you have already used, that service not required anymore, you should basically terminate that particular server, not stop. If you stop, still you will build per hourly for that particular server. So basically you can terminate. So basically you can terminate all the resources and all these things. If you are basically trying to use this AWS or Google Cloud, okay, means after this session you can go and try out on your own using Google Cloud or AWS. You can create your own servers, you can try to host your website and all these things. So basically you try to learn these things, how it works and all these things. For learning purpose, if you are using, try to do that thing. And once you are done, you have to delete all the services. If you don't delete, that will cost you, that will be added to your billing and all these things. So similarly also in production and all these things, you have to make sure you just don't keep some services or resources they are not useful. And also one more suggestion on basis of this: suppose you have a website, okay, you are hosted on a server, okay, this is up and running, website is running, and you have some database, you have all the database and all this thing data on your database, okay. And now you have decided to have something, you don't want to upload. Basically you have just started, you have uploaded, you have tested it, but you are not going live right now. Okay, you might go live after 1 month or something. So basically for putting that for 1 month database and server like that, it will cost you more. So rather than do this, basically put your all the code basically you will already have. But if you have some data, you want to keep it as it is, you can take a backup of that database, put it into the S3 service. So basically S3 is a storage service by AWS, where you can keep your files and all these things, which cost lesser than database and server. So basically you can keep your database backup there. Okay, and you just basically remove your database, you just stop your database, you just terminate your database, you delete your database. So you will not have cash, you will not have cost and all these things. But when you come back after 1 month or something, you can again create your database and you just basically restore your database from backup. So basically from that perspective also, you can save this cost and all these things. So this thing are there, and now let's move to the next slide. Okay, now when you are using this cloud services and all these things, already they have security and all these things. So whenever you try to create a server, okay, means for example, if you go AWS, create your own server, normally you cannot access it publicly. Basically they have created likewise his security should be there. So basically you will have that security system. Basically when you create a server, you will have to add the security groups, security rules and all these things. When we do some practicals, then I will tell you more about that. So basically cloud itself have this security and best practices and all these things. But still when you are writing your permissions, you are putting some rules and all these things, you have to careful about that. Okay, and basically there are these services like IAM services provided by AWS, where you can set up permissions for users and all these things. So in a particular organization there are different roles. So for different roles, different groups, you can create that roles and group and you can assign some permissions. So whenever users from your organization log into this AWS account, they will have access to limited things. Okay, from that perspective you can add that particular security. Then basically you will have to enable multi-factor authentication. So basically whenever user from your organization login into a particular AWS, it needs to be secure and all these things. So basically they will have 2FA, they will have OTP or some authenticator app or something like that. So likewise also the user accounts will be protected. So any account will not go like means if someone get access to your organization, they can damage your basically services, cloud server and all these things. So that's why. And very basic things we already know ki we should create the highest secure passwords and all these things likewise. Then basically there is the data encryption. So basically whenever you store data on this particular database or particular storage services, you should encrypt that data. So basically in database also there are different types of encryption, all these things you should use that. And whenever you create website or something, you should use HTTPS. So basically right now means most of the browsers have this. Basically they show that this site might be harmful or something if you don't use HTTPS. But still if we just don't basically we should redirect that HTTP traffic to HTTPS and all these things. So basically that data transaction and data transfer should also be encrypted likewise. And then basically you should have some mechanism to have regular backups. So basically if you have website, if you have database, okay, then your database should have this regular backup. So in any case, if your server goes down, if there is some issue with your database or something, you can recover from backups and all these things. Okay, likewise. And in backup thing, so if you use server, basically your own server you create, and that own server you create your own database and all these things, then basically you will be uh, that will be your responsibility to manage that backups and all this thing. If you use RDS or some other services provided by this AWS, then there is also option you want backup or not, and that should be there. So if it's managed, that backups will be managed by AWS and all these things. So likewise, these things are there. So you have to use accordingly to, means whatever budget you have on all these things, depending on that. Then basically similarly monitor everything whatever we have. Basically you should have logging and all these things, you should monitor logs and all these things, so you know if there is any gap in security. Likewise, then cost management we already discussed. If you don't need any service, you can remove that service. And then other best practices are like there. When you have your code, in your code basically you should not add your secrets. By secrets means your database keys or your database password or some any other uh, basically credential you should not add to your code. So basically it will not go on your GitHub repository. So basically means you all might know what is repository, where we are code and all these things. From that repository the code will go to cloud, or basically you can pull to this your server and all these things. Okay, likewise. And then basically if you are organization, you should basically regularly have some review. What are the access permissions given and all these things, all the users are there, they are using that particular services or not. So depending on that, you can make changes to your services and all these things. Okay, likewise. Then let's move to the next slide. So now let's understand some basic thing, means emerging cloud trends and futures. So most of the organization are moving towards that. So one is this serverless computing, means there are so many companies already adapted this serverless computing, but more companies are adapting to this, means where they don't have to manage the servers and all these things, that will be managed by cloud services providers. Likewise, and then there is this containerization and Kubernetes. So by containerization and Kubernetes means basically we will have this container. In container basically we will have all the dependencies related to that particular software or website and all these things. So for example, means it happens when a developer create some code, okay, and something he see everything is working fine or something, and when that code is deployed to some other server, testing server, on some deployment or production server, that code doesn't work there. So there might be issue related to dependency in all these things, or versions that required for that particular code to run. Likewise, so they are all dependent. So basically rather in containerization what happens, all these things will be containerized. So for from development also we can use this. So similar dependency software versions and all these things can be replicated using this containerization services. So using this basically you can auto scale and basically auto scale your servers and all these things using this. So basically it will be very easy to deploy to your servers and all these things, and it will work smoothly, there will be no issue on something like that. And there is this new trend is coming up, like hybrid and multi-cloud, using multiple clouds to reduce the cost and all these things. We already discussed these things. And now everyone knows key there is this AI machine learnings. So for this also people will use this cloud servers and all these things. So for training large language models and all these things. Basically, you need GPUs and all these things. For that, you don't need to pay upfront cost. You can basically have the servers on cloud, have the services on cloud, and you can train your model. Likewise, this thing can happen on cloud, and you will have that basically instant services. Even basically, I think in AWS, I think we have SageMaker. They have some SageMaker Studio where you can do this, and in Google Cloud we have Vertex AI and all these things. So likewise, they have their, I think, own AI related services also, where they can basically identify images and all these things. So you can search about this and know more about these things. Okay, so these are the things we have gone through. Basically, this is completely theory. Now I will show you creating a server on AWS. So basically, we will create a server. We will host a very basic website there. Likewise, okay. If you have any questions related to this, whatever we have covered, you can ask, or I will just start with this thing. Means how this works and all these things. How we can create a server on cloud. Okay. So as I have mentioned, means AWS have their infrastructure all over the world. So basically here you can see we have in North America, South, we also have their own servers. So in Asia, particularly India, we have their servers in Mumbai. So in Mumbai region, they will have 3 availability zones. By availability zones means they have their infrastructure, basically this servers on different places. Okay, so if one zone goes down, as a backup, this other zone will work. So they will not have that downtime and all these things. So basically, if you go to a cloud, basically you can use these things also. Means our software or website will be more reliable, and basically we can use their edge location. So from all around the world, we can reduce the latency for to if you want to target the users of different regions or something like that. Okay. Now I will just go to my own account here. Okay, I will go to the home page. Okay, and I will just walk you through different services. Like we have here EC2. EC2 means your servers. You can create your own server. VPC means your virtual private cloud in this particular region or something. So by region means there are multiple regions available. You can see here. So basically you can change the region if you are using Mumbai. So right now I'm using Mumbai. If I change this region to US East Virginia, then basically whenever I create a something server or something, that will be created into that region. Likewise, so I want to create in Mumbai region only, so I will go to the Mumbai region. Okay, in Mumbai region have we this EC2, then VPC, then there is code deploy. This is basically service related. If your code is on GitHub or a Bitbucket or something like that. For example, you have your code on GitHub. Whenever you commit something for in a particular production branch or something, you can automatically call this code deploy service. So basically from your repository, you can post your files to this storage. So storage is basically this S3 service where we have storage service where we can put images, files, PDF files or videos, whatever it may be. So likewise, okay. Then Lightsail, it is basically it is managing all the service and all this thing. Then there is this IAM service where you can manage this permission, all these things. Then this billing cost related to billing. Aurora and RDS, basically this is for your database and all these things. So I will go to this EC2 service. So I can search here. If your service is not here recently visited, you can search from this top and you can go to that particular service. Okay. In EC2, right now, I don't have any particular instance. Okay. So instance means basically a server. Okay, I will create a launch instance. So basically, if you want to try this out, you want to learn how AWS work on all these things, you can go to Google, search for AWS, and you can create your own account. You can add your credit card details and all these things. It will give some credits. It will give some free tier services that you can use if you want to practice this. Okay. So in EC2, if we click this launch instance, I can basically give the name to this particular server. So I'm giving this as a main server. Okay. And then basically I have option. So what operating system I want to use this for or use for this particular server. So I have this AWS, this Amazon Linux. So basically they have created their own operating system. I think this is based on Red Hat Linux or something. Then we have Mac OS Linux, also, Mac OS also, and we have Ubuntu. Then we have Windows, Red Hat. Then there are different options available. So right now I will go for this Ubuntu. So most of you who have used this Linux server, you might be familiar with Ubuntu. This is mostly used. Okay. Then I have used this Ubuntu, and then in this Ubuntu, I have this option Ubuntu server. So basically this is showing which of this version of this Ubuntu server is there. Okay, and this will be used SSD volume type and all these things. Okay, then there is this option to choose architecture and all this. I will not change anything. So basically x86 64-bit. So that is fine. Then basically we have this instance types available. Okay, so here we have there are different options: T2 nano, T2 micro, T2, and then there is the other also like T3, T4, and likewise. So basically T2 is, I think, older basically version, you can say, and T3 is latest version. So we have this T3 micro by default, 2 core CPU and 1 GB RAM, 1 GB memory. And it also shows on-demand price. On-demand pricing is what, 0.0112 US dollar for this Linux. Likewise, so basically I think we will use this. We are not using Ubuntu Pro or something like that. We are using a Linux system. Okay, and then there is this option key pair. So this will be used to basically connect to your server. Okay, so basically what happened when we create a server, this server will be created on cloud. So basically we will have to log into that system to write some commands and all this thing. So we will need to connect that. So in that case, this particular key pair will be used. Without this also you can use, I think, their cloud shell or something, but I will recommend you to create a key pair. So I have already created and given a name AWS. Okay, and then basically if I will show you create one. Okay, rather than going for my old, so you will have the idea if you are starting a new and if you are creating. So if you are create, okay, sorry, if you create new, you can give name. So I will now give name like AWS key. Okay, and I will not change anything. So basically it's RSA, and then basically this key is PEM. So basically for SSS and all these things that can be used. If you are using Windows, you want to use putty or something, that is basically different type. Means in Windows previously PEM was not able to, we were not having this terminals and all these things. Right now, I think in Windows also we have terminals. We can use this PM. If not, you can create this PPQ. If you familiar with this putty server and all this thing, you can use that also to log in into your server. So if I create this AWS key and PM, once I create this key pair, it will create that particular key. It will be auto selected here. Okay, and it has downloaded that particular key here, AWS key dot PEM. Okay, and then basically now there is this security group. So security group, as I said, means by default they have securities inbuilt on something. So right now, if you create an instance, they have only this option, allow SSH traffic from anywhere. Okay, so this thing is open. But if you want to host a website onto your server, then you will need this HTTPS traffic also, and you will also need this HTTP. HTTP means port 80 for having your website. HTTPS, if you want to put SSL and all these things, then you can use this. So basically this will create a new security group by name this launch wizard 2. Okay, likewise, or I have already used this previously. So I already have one launch wizard 1. It has the same permission, all these things. Okay, but you might be creating it, so I will go for this create security group launch wizard 2. So if you already have some security group, it has same rules and all these things, and you don't want to create multiple security, so you can select the existing security group likewise. So now I will just create security group. This will create this launch wizard 2 security group, and it will be associated to that particular instance. Sorry, by mistake I clicked back. I will go again and I will type fast. So basically this is our main server. Okay, then I will not change anything. I will just go select this Ubuntu. We have this T3 micro, that is fine. And once you have downloaded that key, you have that key. So I will just select it now, AWS key. Okay, and then basically there is a security group. So I will create a new security group. It will be named as launch wizard 2. Okay, and then basically we have this storage. You can add this storage. For a basic example, 8 GB is sufficient. Okay, so I will not add any more volume or something. If you need higher storage space, you can add that. Okay, and there is this advanced detail. We will go into that later. And now basically I can create launch instance. So basically I have just added the information what type of server I need, and I just created that particular server. And if I go to instances, now you can see the status of that particular instance. Okay, so now it shows running, but from status check it's showing that particular initializing. Okay, now I will click this and I will show you some details related to this. Okay, so basically this server we have created. Okay, so you can see, means I just added some information. I have created my own server. My server is up and running. Okay, we have this public IPv4 address. Okay, using this address, you can see if there is some website or something. If you host it using this particular IP address, then we have, I think, private IPv4 address also. This private IPv4 address cannot be accessed directly. So basically this can be used internally. If you have multiple EC2 servers and all these things, and they want to have that access, in that case, we should use this private IP address. Okay, and this is a public address. So I will just copy this public address. Okay, and now we'll go to my terminal. Okay, I will try to connect this server, whatever server we have created, no? So we can try to connect that server. Okay, to connect the server, so basically I can use the command using SSH. I can connect to that server, SSH, and then -I. Okay, and then basically I can basically specify that particular file. Okay, I have that means keypair file in downloads. This is the AWS key.pm, and then basically I have this server IP address, and then I will have to mention the user. So in AWS, if you create a Ubuntu server, the default user will be Ubuntu. So this is a username, and and I will add this IP address. Okay, and if I click enter, this will definitely not work because I have just you added this AWS key. I have not changed the permissions and all these things, and this will not be allowed. Okay, it shows this authenticity. I will just click S and then it will show this error. Okay, permission 644 are too open, and this basically this private key will be ignored. So basically this will not work. So basically we'll have to change the permission of this particular key. Okay, so I will basically also will move this file from my downloads folder to a separate file, so to a hidden folder. So I will just move this file. For moving we have command mv, and then basically in downloads we have this aws key.pm, and then I will move it to my SSH folder. Basically we start with dot, so basically it's a hidden, and then basically I will use the same name aws key.pm. So I have moved this file. Then I have to change the permission of this particular file. Okay, so chmod, and then I can given permission, I think 400 or something. I already have some commands here handy to install this website and all this thing. Okay, I don't have there. So chmod, I will use control R chmod. Okay, 400 only, and this time I have used this for AWS. Now I will use this same for AWS key.pm. So I have moved my this pm file, means to proper hidden folder, and also I have changed the permission to private to use this for particular user only. It is these are not too open. Now we will try to connect again to our server. So SSS -I. Then now I will connect to SSH, then AWS key.pm. Then same this Ubuntu, particular this user. I will just copy this address from here. Okay, and then Ubuntu at, and then that host name. Okay, now basically I have been logged into this server. So you can see Ubuntu at IP 117.172.318.113. So basically this is IPv4 address it's showing. So basically right now I am on that particular server. So whatever command I write here will be added to that particular server. So it will run on that server only. Okay. So likewise, so as already told, I have already this commands. So I can use this sudo apt update. So it's specific to Ubuntu. Okay, it will update this repository and all these things. So it will have that proper versions and all. Okay, and likewise this will run. After this run, I will run this command sudo app upgrade, and we have this -y. If we don't have -y, so basically it will show you and it will ask, do you want to proceed with installation or not? And then basically we will type that yes, y, and then it will work. So likewise, so if I already have that -y, it will directly install that, and this will work out likewise. So right now you have seen I have created a server, then I have logged into that server, and I am now manually adding these commands and all these things. So basically I have my own server, I am updating this servers and all these things. I will install this nginx servers. So basically nginx servers will be used for hosting this website. Okay, so likewise, once we have that, okay, now it is taking too time. So right now we just have added these two commands. It is taking time, and we have so many commands to put our website run up and running. So I will just explain these things, explain all the commands, and we will use something else to do all these commands quickly. Okay, so I will just explain. So first thing, I have upgraded, then we will install Nginx server, then we will start that Nginx server, then we will use this command sudo systemctl enable Nginx. So basically on restart of your server, this Nginx server will be automatically up and running. Basically it will be active. Okay, then basically this status command will be used to check the status of that particular Nginx server is running or not. Then UFW will allow this Nginx basically 80 port and all these things, we can see the status. Then basically we are going to create a directory. So directory will be created in folder like var www and then my website. Then basically we will give permission to that particular user, the current user of that particular directory. Okay, and then basically we will change the permission. So basically we can write to that files and all these things. And then basically we are going to create this nano, basically this editor where we will create this index.html file. And index.html we have very basic my website, welcome to website, and this is hosted on Nginx likewise. And then basically after that we have to configure Nginx server. So basically configuring there are in Nginx server you have to add that listen to 80 port. Whenever user request for 80 port, your website will come from this particular directory, root directory, and what files will be targeted index.html, HTML. So we have, if you have these files, that will be responded back to that particular user. And then if you have that particular server domain name and all these things, you can use that. Basically you can change this domain name, whatever the domain name you have. And then basically once we have added this file into sites available, after that in Nginx you will have to basically create this, you have to use this command. So basically it will be available in sites enabled, so that site will be enabled. And after enabling that particular slide, basically we are removing default site from Nginx. Then we are using this Nginx -t for testing if all the configuration is proper or not. Then basically we will restart this Nginx server, and then basically our website will be up and running, and basically we can go to HTTP and your and basically our server IP, public IP, and then in that case that will work. So basically if I try to do that much, it will take too much time. So I will tell you a different option. Okay, this can be speed up in cloud server. Okay, so I will go back here again. I will go to instances. Okay, and I will just terminate this instance. Okay, I will create another instance and I will show you how to speed up when creating an instance, some of the commands and all these things easily. So basically same things will be there, only we will go into advanced and will add that particular commands. So I will create this right now. Rather than giving the same name, I will give name as a taste. Then I will use Ubuntu, and everything will be same. Okay, and right now I will not create a new key. I will use the existing key, AWS key. Okay, and then create security give. I have option to select existing group, so I will use this existing launch wizard too, because it has the same thing, same rules and all these things. So why create a new? Okay, then we'll go to this advanced detail. In advanced detail, if you go down, there is this option user data. Okay, in user data, basically you can add all these commands. So I already have created what are the command we have written. No, I have all these commands, so I will copy this and I will put into this user data. Okay, one second, I will just put my laptop on charging. So basically what it does, if we have all this command in this user data, whenever your instance is getting created by the root user, this command will automatically run on that particular server. Okay, and we have same similar commands like install the upgrading, installing nginx, enabling that, and adding a file. In here we have welcome to my website, this is hosted on ngx, deployed on you via user data and all these things, and then basically creating this engine X configuration and all these things are there. So I will use these things. Okay, and then now I will create launch instance. So basically this will speed up everything. Okay, so whatever the command I want to run on my first, once I created that particular server, that will automatically run. And whatever things we do manually and add your website and all these things, that will be already created and it will be up and running. Okay, so let's see if everything works fine or not. Okay, so status. Okay, initializing all these things. Now I can connect to this server also. Okay, I have this IPv4 address is changed. Okay, and then we have this similar command. Okay, but this IP address is basically changed. Okay, so I will put this new IP address. We have the same key pair, same PEM file, so no need to change, same OS, so same user, same Ubuntu server user. Okay, okay, sorry, there is some issue, connect to host 13. It's up and running or not, let me see. Okay, it shows running. Okay, I will try to go directly to this particular address. If I go to this address, it might not work. I will show you. It has that HTTPS and all these things. So I will close a new tab here. Okay. Okay, it has HTTPS, but our site basically don't have SSL and all this thing installed. So now you can see on this server, we have this welcome to my website. This is hosted on nginx and deployed via AWS user data server is up and running. So this thing is working fine. So basically what happened from all this command, everything ran there, nginx installation, all these things, creating this HTML file, configuration nginx and all these things. So this already worked. Okay, now let me try again. Now terminal also got to know key, means got access. Let's see. Now we have gone into this particular server. Okay, if you want to see basically how this runs, so basically user data is completed and this time or something like that. So basically for that I have this command, so we can check the log file. Okay, so I will copy this command, I will paste it here. So user data script completed at Friday 31. So basically it is showing this UTC time. If you convert it to IST, so basically it will be 1 or 2 minutes ago. So likewise, if you want to see the complete output when we run command, it shows everything likewise, then you can use this another command. So likewise, we have created our own server and we have hosted a very basic website here. Okay, and most of you might, if you want to use this particular server from, okay, welcome, from perspective of development or something, you want to use this as a development, so rather than terminal you can use your VS code also to connect your AWS server and directly make changes to files and all these things. Okay, So right now I am in server. I will just make some changes to file permission and all these things. Okay, and then basically we will try to make some basic changes. Okay, so we already have this directory created. Okay, and then for this particular user I will give this permissions. Okay, and then I will change the permissions for this might have already done, but still I will do this. Okay, now if I want to connect to this server using this VS Code directly and directly changing the file into server, that we can also do. So I will try to copy this command. Okay, rather than copying, I will just type here. So connect to host. Okay, let me move this here. Okay, then I will type command SSH. Then same command -i, then root directory dot ssh, and then AWS key dot pm. User is Ubuntu, and the server is, so I will copy public address, so @ and I will paste it here. Okay, enter. Let's see if it works or not. So it's things, there is some issue. Right, 13.201.80.56. Okay, I think I have done some mistake. Okay, I will first exit this. I want to know the path. So cd dot ssh pwd. If I go pwd, okay, I will try to use this path. Okay. Then connect to host ssh -i, then this path, then AWS p.pm, then Ubuntu @ and then again I will copy the public address. Okay. Okay, I will click add. Oh, I should not have done that. Control Z work. No. Okay, I will have to write it again. Sorry. -i, and I lost the path. Copy, paste, AWS key dot em, Ubuntu, and enter. Okay, and then I will click connect. Let's see if everything is fine, then it will work. Okay, I think it works. It's showing downloading VS Code server and all these things. So now this VS Code basically have this, basically you can remote code and all these things. So now if I use this open, so basically now I am onto that server only. If I add www, then my website, okay, and if I go into this, okay, we have these files. Okay, quickly I will change basic things, and you can see basically it's actually changing into the server. So yes, I trust the author, and yes, okay, welcome to my website, and we'll just type this is taste change. Okay, so right now you can see we have this thing. If I refresh and I will save this file. Okay, and then let's go and refresh this. So we have this welcome to my website. This is taste change. So right, this is a very basic web page. Okay, but you got the concept. So basically we have gone to this AWS, we have created our server, and you in user data we have added all the commands. So basically whatever server you are compatible, Ubuntu or some other server, you can have your commands on all this thing. You can install your services, basically versions related. If you are Node.js developer, you can install Node.js. If you are Python, you can upgrade it that Python or something. If you are PHP or something, you can install PHP and all. Likewise, even basically means at start, I will recommend you create your own server. You create your own database in this EC2 server only. Okay, and basically use that, basically like a local host you use, basically use this server and try to create and host your website. If you are from Node.js or some something, so this service like PM2 will be helpful. So basically PM2 is process manager for Node.js. If you have created Node.js or something like that, this can be used for other applications also. So basically you can write the proxy setting, proxy configuration in Nginx. So basically your site, suppose you have port 3000, and for 80 port means in Nginx configuration, you will configure for 80 port, go to this localhost 3000 port and show that website. Likewise, if you go to means basically to have that commands and all this thing, if you don't know, you can go to any chat GPT or a cloud server and you can ask for commands how to deploy your particular server, installation of Node.js, installation of whatever the database, PostgreSQL, MySQL and all these things. Okay, likewise you can do. So now we have done a basic setup of EC2 instances. Similarly, we have this service called RDS. Okay, so RDS and Aurora will be used for database. If you want to create a centralized database and will be managed by AWS only, so you can create your DB instances. And in DB instances, you have option to create PostgreSQL, MySQL, MariaDB, or you can use this Aurora. Means it has lower latency but more cost, something like that. Okay, so basically there are different things, you can explore this more. Okay, and then likewise we have application load balancer. So basically load balancer can be created if you want multiple servers or something. If I go to EC2 also, I can show you different things. Okay, in EC2 we have this instant types, launch templates. So launch templates can be used for auto scaling and all these things. So if you go here down, auto scaling groups, so you can here mention if you want multiple server, auto scale, auto down and all these things, that can be managed from this particular thing. uh, then basically we have target groups. You can basically have target groups of instances, EC2 servers. So load balancer will point to that target groups. Likewise, then you have key pairs. Whatever the key pairs we have created, it will show here. And basically we have elastic IP. Elastic IP means this IP will be a static IP. So right now we have created two servers, but for both servers we have different IP address. So I have to change the IP address and all these things. We can do one thing, we can just allocate one elastic IP address. We create one server, we assign this particular elastic IP address to server. So basically that IP address can be used to log in and all these things. If I basically delete that instance, I don't delete this elastic IP address. I have created another servers. If I allocate same elastic IP address to different server, so same elastic IP will be used to log in into that server. So in that case, so if you want a static IP and if you want to change servers and all these things and maintain the same IP, you can use this elastic IP and all these things. Then there is the security groups. So when we have created our particular server, it automatically added this security group. So launch wizard 2. In this security group, we have this inbound routes, outbound routes. Inbound routes mean basically whenever someone requests to your servers, what ports are available on these things. So like 443 for SSL, 222 for SSH, to connect via SSH command, then 80 port for this website we have. Likewise, if you want to allow more port, you can allow more port and all these things. Outbound rule, it I think have everything, means all traffic can be done. So likewise, so basically you can manage this. You can basically edit these rules. If you basically if you don't want your server to publicly available, you can just remove this, delete this ATN, these things. Even you don't want your SSS connection should be done by everywhere, you want specific IP needs to be added there. So basically you can remove this IP, rather than you can use your own IP. Okay, so there should be option to create, option to select own IP. I don't know. Okay, here they have option. So anywhere IP, if you select my IP, so by default my IP will be added. So from my IP only I can add, I can basically connect to that server. So if in your organization you can basically give access to very specific users IPs or something like that, that can be done. Okay, likewise. And and there is this AMI. So basically these are the images. So basically if you install a server, you have installed so many things, you can just create a AMI from the existing S2 instance. So using this AMI, if you create a server, so you don't have to run all the command. That server will be automatically will have that all the services and all these things. So likewise, these things are there. Okay. So my suggestion will be for you guys, as you are starting out, basically you can try out this free tiers and all these things, get an understanding of this. First start with very basic thing, EC2 server. On that server only put your this database and everything on a single machine. Don't go for RDS or something. If you want to test that, you can create this RDS, then connect to that and all these things. That you can do for practice. But whenever you created this, whenever you tested, learn this, you just basically go and delete your instances. So basically you will not be built for that. So right now I will just terminate this instance. I have used this for test purpose just to show you. So I will terminate. Okay, then this will be terminated and I will not be billed for that particular service and all these things. Likewise, these things will happen. Okay. Okay, I have basically terminated. So this SSH connection automatically disconnected. It doesn't work. So that's why that error was there. Okay, I think we have covered all the basics. We have given a very basic hands-on to create a server and all these things. You can explore more. You can go to cloud and ChatGPT and you can ask more things for specific your server, your code, how to add that. And basically you can go advanced, basically a CI/CD pipeline, automatically your code will be deployed, auto scaling groups will be there and all these things that can be done using GitHub Actions, but that will be more complicated. But today we were having this basic things related to cloud computing. So I think I have covered most of the things. If you have any doubt or something, you can ask.
Hello, sir. Manisha this side.
Yeah.
Sir, the session was very interesting. Just I want to learn cloud computing. So from where I will start? It is important to learn commands for this.
Basic commands you will need. Okay, you
Uh,
will not means you will not need that much commands on all these things, but basic commands you will need. And right now means you have ChatGPT, Cloud, and all these things. You can easily get that commands and all these things. So it will be very easy to learn. So you can start with very this AWS or Google Cloud. I will suggest go with AWS. They have means you will have all these things covered.
Yesterday, I create my AWS account. That AWS provide me 6 month of free trial. Uh, Previous years, AWS provide 1 year of free trial. Now the AWS decreases that month.
Yeah, I think
It
so.
provide the 6 month of free trial.
Okay.
Now I'm very interested to learn how I started, from where I will start to learn AWS, sir.
So same thing, start creating basic things like I have created a one server and all these things. Now I have connected to that server. I have added last. So same thing you can try. So I think this recording might be available, so you can try the same things, or even you can try. Means as I suggested, you can search Google and you can just try out. And whenever you have done these things, you can basically terminate that service. Still, you have free credits, but still I will recommend that. Okay, so you can use more services. From services point of view, means for what purpose you want to use, so I can guide into that.
Um, Hello, sir. Just I want to learn DevOps. That's why I'm learning this cloud computing.
Okay, so I will suggest, okay, uh, understand all these things, basics. Okay, so you can search, there are so many resources available online where they will show how this works and all these things. Okay, even you can use Claude or ChatGPT. If you are a person who are okay with courses or something, in Udemy or something, they have courses, lot of courses related to this AWS and all these things. If you want to focus on DevOps related courses are also there. So in this they will cover everything, like repository, GitHub repository, how it works, code. Then they have GitHub action, how YAML file works, how you can write that, and then how this code deploy, code commit, and then there is containerization. If you want to this auto scaling, so all these things, it will take some time to go into deep. So it might take 1 or 2 months to have that confidence. If you are means it depends on user to user, means how you are related to take, how you know coding, how you know other things like GitHub repository, servers, and all these things. And from DevOps perspective, you don't need that much of coding, but basic codings related to Python, basic commands and all these things, Linux commands and all. So mostly people use Linux servers, so that's why. So try with free resources. If you don't get that much understanding, you can go for courses, or basically, or you can even book my session, book my meeting, and then basically I can help you. Means basically we will go one by one and I can teach you from that
Okay,
perspective.
sir.
Likewise.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, on that note, Manisha, I would like to not only it is not only to for Manisha, but all of you students. If you have find this session interesting, and I can see that Santosh, it is really a fruitful and very knowledgeable session. Thank you for that. So, all of the students who are having any queries, maybe they're having some such kind of your particular prototype or MVP, you can book your session with Santosh and the other mentors as well. So that, because it is a time constraint thing, you also understand we have limited time here. He might not able to give that much time to you, each of you. So I suggest that please go, whatever search Santosh, and whatever the open slots you can see, and you can book the session so that he can help you out in better ways. So, anyone else having any question? Perfect. So, I have an announcement also for this upcoming open house. And Santosh, since it is a very great session we had today, so how you are planning, it just a small suggestion. It is absolutely up to you how you want to take this open house, but just a small suggestion that you maybe can have a quiz kind of with multiple choice of answers, so that it helps students also to revise what you have taught them today, and rest is up to you, maybe 50 questions or 25 questions, so you can set up the open house that way also.
Okay.
So yeah. And students, please make sure, because prototyping is not the startup stage is not so far, and we are planning in the mid of November we should start the startup, and the prototyping should be completed. So before that, whatever your MVP, whatever stage your MVP is and prototyping, if you're facing any challenge, anything, please do reach out to our mentors. It is very excellent opportunity, like Manisha have query, so you can book your sessions, because it's a great opportunity that really can help you all. So all right, then I think we are good to go wrap up for the call for today, and let's see everyone on Monday, and have a great weekend to everyone. Thank you, Santosh. Yeah,
Thank you, Sarika. Thank you, everyone.
thank you everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.